Hello and welcome back to Canaries Chat. As always, you've got myself, Chris, and my co-host Luke here, and we will be talking all things Norwich City, what's happened this week, what's happened in the previous games, and the games coming next. How are we today, Luke?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Chris. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. We've just finished recording our first X Pro podcast that will hopefully be out soon. We think it went really well. Really excited to see how that kind of lands with you guys. But yeah, I'm very well. Thank you, mate. Thank you. So, Luke, we have had the Blackburn game that finished 2-2. What were your thoughts on that then, mate?
Yeah, I thought Blackburn was quite positive, in all honesty. I think we did kind of majority of that game, we were in control. First half, although we were 1-0 down, and they did score that goal, I felt like we had some really good chances in there. Sargent could have had two or three. And I don't really think there was much of an issue first half that people are, making out to be. Second half, again, we improved even more. Got the two goals, two really nice goals, may I add as well. Sargent's goal with you know hit that really really well, and Doyle winning that and then playing it through was great, and Onel as well tracking back, winning that ball for the second, the nice play, to get that goal from Signs. And I'm just really, really frustrated with a draw because I just felt like we deserved more than that. I don't know what Stacey was doing to the lead of that goal with all them step overs, then losing the ball. But we'll talk in a bit about player performances. But overall, I think it was a step in the right direction, and I think it says a lot that we were more frustrated that we didn't come out of that game with 3 points and only got, the one.
Agree. I think we definitely saw the pattern of play a lot more, the quick transitions through all the thirds in the build-up play, especially on the counter attack. I think that was what was for me. I think having more of Thorpe's players coming in as well, I think was really encouraging to see. I thought Cordova played well when he came on. But yeah, I think it's now building on that. There's still going to be a lot of incoming leave in regards to people coming in. So I think if we can build on that, build on what we've seen in the Blackburn, it wasn't perfect. I do think Jack Stacey's going to get a lot of stick for the step overs and then the goal. But to be honest, there's still a lot of game to be played between when he done the step overs and the goal. And then I think there was other players equally as questionable in that build up. But I'm kind of that it's reassured me that performance. I think after there's a lot of people going. The worst thing is we don't really see an identity. We don't really see where we're going. I think we saw an identity against Blackburn, and that's now kind of galvanised the fan base. And actually, we can buy into that. We can buy into those quick transitions, that flowing counter attack, like for Sainz's goal. That is what we're buying into. And yeah, I'm very positive outlook now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we are
But
only
we're
two
winning the
games in.
league.
Yeah, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Obviously, I think we all know, and I think the realists within the club know that we're probably not looking to you know, push for playoff this year. Although, we might be. I don't know. You never want to say never, and obviously they have their targets, but I think we all know this is more of like a reset season and like a rebuild. So, obviously, I want us to do well, but I just don't know at the moment. I think Sargent was back to his best on Saturday. Really good performance from him. The sergeant that we know and love was back. I thought that Doyle had a good game. Well, when he did play left back, I didn't think he done too much wrong at centre back. To be fair, when he did play there, but I think that kind of 40 minutes second half probably cemented to me personally that he probably does need to play left back and Cordoba does need to come in as the centre back. My question to you, Chris, and I think I know the answer, would be who would you like to see next to Cordoba as the centre back?
Brad Hills.
Because there's a lot of stick for Shane Duffy that game, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Shall we go through our player ratings? I've got up here. We can talk.
Yeah.
Why we've gone through those.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that centre back spot against Sheffield United, especially, because realistically, it's going to be up against Kiefer Moore. Is really in contention. Shane Duffy's bread and butter, arguably, is around winning those aerial duels. We didn't see that on Saturday, but it is
Do you
around.
think? Do you think Hills is ready for that step up, and do you think he's ready to make his league debut in a game like Sheffield United? Though,
Did we think Forsyth was ready to make his league debut against Blackburn?
no.
No one saw that coming. But as Thorpe said, if you're going to walk the walk, no, sorry, if you're going to talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk. And they're telling us about bringing youth in. That is going to be the direction of the club. It would not surprise me if it did happen, and you see Brad Hills starting. But we'll
But the
go through.
worst thing that could happen there is he plays, he's then a little bit out of his depth, he gets eaten alive, and then everyone goes, "Well, he's not ready, is he?"
Yeah,
You need to ease him in correctly. I don't think you can just start him at a game like Sheffield United. I would not be surprised if you see a Cordova Duffy starting or a
yeah.
Cordova Hanley playing on Saturday.
You could
And I
even
know
have
that,
You could have Cordoba Doyle. You
yeah,
like,
you could do, but we'll go through the ratings, like you said.
yeah,
But I know that that'll probably anger a lot of Norwich fans, but I
yeah,
just don't think you could probably start Hills in a game like Sheffield
yeah,
United,
yeah.
personally.
We'll touch on that as well because we've always got the build up. But so our player ratings went Gunners a 6.
Yeah.
Made a couple of good saves, but again, I think there's some question marks around recent performances. But I don't think that's anything personally I'm not too worried about. I think it's positive from being a ball playing goalkeeper really plays into Thorpe's hands. But I don't think we really disagreed on Gunn, did we?
Well, I don't think Gunn is a ball playing goalkeeper.
Do you not?
No,
I
I
think
think
that's
I think I think he struggles a little bit playing it a bit quickly.
I think that's one of his stronger points. I think it's getting down low seems to be his issue. He's a bit of a David De Gea and goes with
I,
his feet.
I personally don't think one of his main traits is him being able to play it out from his feet. I think that's one of his weaknesses,
Really?
personally.
Interesting.
Um,
I think when you've seen Long playing goal and you've seen Gunn playing, that is more than enough to tell me that he's all right with it.
yeah,
I think,
no, he is all right with playing at his feet, but I guess my point is there's probably better out there, which probably suits Florp a little bit better.
quite possibly. I still think not. I wouldn't say there's question marks over Gunn, but I think when a new manager comes, I think every position is looked at, and I don't think Gunn has any competition at this point in time.
I
Um,
disagree with you. I think there are question marks on Gunn at the moment.
but
From the
I
fans'
don't,
point of view,
but
definitely.
I don't think there can be any directly like that. There's no one at the club that would replace him. So until someone's
No,
come in,
exactly. That's whether we recruit or not. And
yeah,
he is in his last year of his contract. So will he just be here until that contract ends and then we move it on? More than likely.
yeah,
But you know, he's a Scottish international now, isn't he? He played at the Euros every game, albeit Scotland didn't do very well. You know, he's still got that experience. He's got Premier League experience. You know, he's more capable of going into a team that probably suits him. But I just don't think he is the keeper that Thorpe wants in that system. Personally, I love. Don't get me wrong. I love Angus Gunn. I think he's brilliant, but I just don't think he's that ball playing goalkeeper that Thorpe wants in that system.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to. Well, there's still a few weeks left, isn't there? Transfer window. So
Defo,
I
yeah. But yeah, I will say on the performance, on the rating as well. I don't think he done much wrong that game. To be fair, there wasn't a lot for him to really do, to be honest, other than the 2 goals that went in. The header was really close. He was never getting to that. The only, you know, I'm not a goalkeeper. I don't claim to be a professional goalkeeper. But I know a lot of fans were up like a little bit aggy that he didn't like come out quick enough for the chip. It kind of stalled his run a little bit. But again, you know, I don't think that's very fair. To be fair, um,
no, I
you know,
agree.
so
And I think the only other thing is like for some reason he's punched a lot more this season. He
yeah,
hasn't
I
come out
noticed
and
that.
he hasn't come out and like claimed a ball.
Yeah,
There was one where he just punched it and he had miles of space. But we're not goalkeepers. I think a 6 is fair. I think we might have gone wrong slightly here, but we've got Crescene. We went with a 5, but then I look at other players that got and I don't think he was as bad as them. But I don't think he did anything wrong, but I don't think he was like set the world alight. I thought he was just a bit of a steady Eddie. Maybe he could have supported going forward a bit more, but I don't know what your thoughts were. I think
yeah, he was very conservative in his game.
that's the word.
Um,
That's the word.
yeah, you know, I think you got to remember he's still young. And Blackburn were a very physical team, and you know their right wing done really well. I believe he was quite young as well, their right wing, and you know it was a good match. Don't get me wrong between them two, but you know I just felt like it's not that he was a little bit out of his depth. I think it was just going to take him a little bit of time to mould into the team. And coming back from that slight knock that he had straight into that team was, you know, I think that was a big ask. But yeah, he didn't do much wrong. You know, I don't think he done a lot going forward. He defended okay, I guess.
Yeah,
But
I feel. Well, we'll get into Doyle next, but I do feel like as a back four, we looked better with him at left back. We gave Doyle a 7. Obviously, got assists for Sardra's goal. Um, Personally, I thought he went for like the Hollywood pass, maybe like a couple too many times. Um, but apart from that, I thought he looked. Obviously, he's very good on. His passing is very good. But I also think for their goal, their second goal, there was a lot of space on that left hand side. Um, and I thought that a few times against Oxford, and I didn't know if it was due to him trying to cover his centre back partner. But there did seem to be a lot of space on that left hand side. But even that being said, I think he he's going to be a very good player for us. I think, especially when he moved to left back, I feel like those long balls came easier for him. I thought the channel balls that he could play worked really. Went to go to the byline, cut back, and he'd already played it to where the byline was, but it was perfectly weighted, and Hernandez still got to it. And I
yeah,
think when our wingers adapt to having a left back that can comfortably play those chip through balls or those drill through balls, I think it's going to open up a different world of opportunities for us because we've been so used to our left and right backs having to like come in to the field, play the ball out to like the centre midfielder and the centre midfielder to the wing. But yeah, we gave Doyle a 7. What were your thoughts on his home debut?
Yeah, I thought he didn't really do too much wrong, to be fair. I guess the only slight criticism is, like you said, he could have probably tried to close down that cross on the left-hand side a little bit quicker, but I don't really think he really put a foot wrong, in all honesty. Um, I just, I'm just amazed at how cool and calm and collected he is at his age, and that just comes with the amount of experience he's had at that level of football. He's a very, very good football player, and I think once he properly gets going, I think he's going to be an amazing, amazing player, which I think we know that he already is. But I think it's just about understanding where we want to play him for this season. It is difficult because I know his last two loan spells he had played centre back, left centre back, but we have brought Cordoba, who is also left-footed, and arguably a little bit more stronger in there, more physical. Either way, I'm excited to see him play, but yeah, I don't think he really put a foot wrong that game at all.
Yeah, speaking of putting feet wrong, we've got Duffy and Stacey. We've given both 5s. Just in regards to that, just a couple of comments. Someone saying Duffy should be a 4. Duffy, yeah, should be a 3. And a few about Stacey as well. What are your thoughts on both of their performances in that game?
Yeah, I mean, Duffy didn't have the greatest of games, did he? Arguably at fault for losing his man on that second goal. Um, First goal, I don't really think it was his fault, in all honesty. Um, I do kind of feel a little bit sorry for him, in all honesty, a little bit, because
I
I,
think it's quite clear what's happening now, in my opinion.
yeah, I
There's,
think he's the easy scapegoat for Norwich fans to go at, because they want these young players coming in, and he did. Don't get me wrong; he did not have a good game to his standards. But I thought last year he done all right. Obviously he does have a few kind of mistakes in him, but so does everyone. Like
yeah,
Sarah last year had so many mistakes in him, but no
yeah,
one got on his back as much as they did as Duffy. And
yeah.
I do think it might be like because of his age, and he may not be the quickest, just like Hanley as well. But I really don't think he's done much wrong to
Yeah,
deserve the stick that he's got. He didn't have a good game. Don't get me wrong. Did not have the game that he'd like, but I think the stick's a little bit extreme.
I think for me, I think it's going to be pretty obvious that the fans are going to turn quickly on the older players of the team. Duffy being one of them. I think Stacey will unfortunately be one of them. And I think potentially Kenny, if Kenny had a couple of bad games, I think fans may start turning. I just think in regards to Duffy, as you said, that first goal, I mean, he jockeys the player. Some people say he should engage, but if he engages, the player just passes around him anyway. So I'm not, and he can't help, like in the nicest way possible. He can't help being slow. He
Yeah,
can't generate pace out of nowhere. So I'm not really sure what else he can do in that position. Second goal, yeah, I think we'd expect him to be in front of his man, but it happens. Um, I think again it will be highlighted more him not getting to his man than Doyle not getting to his man,
yeah,
and I think that'll be the run-in kind of trend for Norwich. I think you've summed it up perfectly. I think it will be the older statesmen of the team will be the ones that get more heavily criticised than the youth. Whether that's right or wrong, then that's down to personal preference. But yeah, I think Duffy will be the scapegoat this year. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, as I said, we're 2 games in, right? He could turn it around for all we know, but although as much as we want Hill to be in the team, and we just love him as a player, I think the criticism and the negativity comes from the fans wanting to see the youngsters like that come in, and they'll
Yeah,
just try and find any fault they can to try and kind of jump on that kind of trend of he needs to go, we need this young player in kind of thing. And Norwich fans, I'll be honest, do that quite a lot. There always seems to be one player each year that everyone just wants gone, and they kind of latch onto it, and they're quite persistent with it. But I think he lost his man at the second. Fair enough. Other than that, I didn't really think he'd done too much wrong. In all honesty, um, I, I, I will put it out there as well. I'm just, looking back at it now. I don't particularly think Forson had a great game. I think he probably had a worse game than Duffy. In all honesty,
yeah, I think he was very, very quiet. I think we
he
gave him
was
a
very
6.
quiet. He lost the ball quite a lot. Yeah, he's quick on the turn, but he's not the greatest at like dribbling. He's not the greatest at shooting. That's yet to be seen. He's really, really quiet. Was that down to him playing a lot on Tuesday? Maybe.
Yeah,
You could say the same for Jack Stacey. He played 90 minutes at Oxford. He played 90 minutes on Tuesday, or roughly 90 minutes. He played about 80, 85. And I believe he had a full 90 on Saturday as well. And I know there's going to be he is a professional footballer. That is what he trains for. I get that, but it's still a lot. And the step overs were inexcusable. Like that was just
yeah,
ridiculous. Like there's
agreed.
no need for that. He was just taking the piss, and
Yeah,
it bit him in the arse at the end of the day. It was stupid. But again, I don't really think he done too much wrong that game as well either.
yeah. I think that was an error he won't do again. Is in the step overs. And as you said, game time may play into a bit of fatigue and bits like that. But you just can't. I don't think we can just have a team full of youth as much as we'd want it to be. You are going to need those older players, and I just think yes, new players get a bit more grace because they're adapting to the club, they're adapting to the league. Like Forson, for example, going kind of different country, different league, different club. Like it's going to take them some time to adapt. But the players that we've currently got in, yes, don't need to adapt to the club, but they do need to adapt to the manager and the style of play. And I think some of them need a little bit of grace than fans are willing to give them. I mean, the midfield, I think we gave all 3 in the midfield 6s, um, which if I was going to pick any standout from the midfield, it would be Nunes for me. I
Yeah,
thought,
I think Nunez is probably a little bit higher. To be fair, like upon reflection, I think he was probably better out the two. I think he's probably like a 7, probably
yeah,
about that.
no, I agree with that, but I think a lot of the link up play for me was kind of the left back. So Doyle, was Doyle doing Sarge's runs? Some people, I think the science performance really divided. Um,
Wait, I
we
thought he done quite well.
we put him as a 7. A lot of people
Yeah,
saying that he was quiet, but from what I remember, he created a few opportunities. He
he
should have
wasn't.
had
He
an
wasn't.
assist.
He wasn't. He wasn't quiet that game.
No, well, he should
He
have had
was.
an assist if Sarge had scored.
He
like the
wasn't
open
quiet
goal.
at all. When he got the ball, he always looked to go forward. He had a few good runs as well. He kept it simple. Doesn't mean he's
Yeah,
quiet in a game just because he isn't shooting outside the box every opportunity that he gets.
yeah,
But, you
exactly.
know, he was very involved in that game. He
I
kept
think
it, but he just kept it simple.
that's literally what I was about to say. Like, I don't think he went. He had that little nice flick on the halfway line, but apart from that, I don't think he wasn't like his standard all flair player, but he did keep things ticking over. And I'm adamant he was part, obviously, of this season for us. Um, we put Forsyth as a 5. I don't think he um, see it as a dig or anything to Forsyth. I just think he looked sometimes a little bit lost face of the game, but showed that there was clearly potential there. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think like we touched upon earlier, right? These youth players we've got to bring in. They've got to start somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah,
And you know, it, like you said, I felt like he was a little bit quiet. Was it too much too soon? I guess those are my initial thoughts. But you could probably say that about any youth player that comes into any game. They're gonna probably look a little bit out of place, just because that they're a youth player, and you can just tell, can't you? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, again, I don't think he done too much wrong. I think there was probably a little bit of nerves in there. But again, I think he done okay. Didn't think he really done much wrong.
yeah,
I think he um I don't think he played in a game before on the Friday for the under-21. I think he was left out, but he came on Tuesday as well in a cup game. Um, you know, I think I think it was difficult. Um, I think it was difficult coming in to a game like Blackburn. They were very, very physical, like I said,
yeah.
and I think that was probably the downfall that he just kind of wasn't like bullied, but he just got out strengthened a lot of the time in the middle, and he probably didn't play to his strengths as
And I,
much as
th-
he'd like.
I think at the end of the day as well, it's like obviously we're not professionals, but it's just our opinion. But 5 out of 10 is what it says on the tin. Average. It's in the middle. It doesn't mean he's had a bad, like a terrible game. A 5 out of 10. It just means that he weren't like a shiny. And I think that's a fair reflection. I think he had bits where he looked promising, and
Yeah,
other bits where he looked slightly out of his depth. But at the end of the day, is a young kid on his debut, not expecting him to take it by the
yeah,
scruff of the neck and absolutely dominate the game. Um,
yeah,
the final one for the starting 11 that we'll just cover today was Sarge. So we gave him an 8 out of 10. I I think I probably lowered it from what you would have. My just justification was, I mean, he obviously got a goal and assist, which is very, very good. Um, I just think a little bit wasteful in the first half. I think we could put the game to bed by then. And that's not just down to Sarge, but you got to think he had the open goal, the one of his left foot, the header. I think we probably could have put the game to bed. That's why we went with an 8. But what were your thoughts on Sargent's performance?
I, again, I think he had a really, really good game. You know, unfortunately, just football. You're not going to score every chance you get. If you do, you're probably scoring 5 a game every time. You know, and he did have some really good chances first half. Um, that one where the keeper misplaced. He had that one. I think it was. I think it was actually a lot harder than people think. He did have someone, the player that did block it, and he did have that other player that was kind of covering that other side. He had a header as well, the one that hit the crossbar. I think he had another one that he drilled across that just missed by like a whisker. Um, so that was just the first half, creating them chances. Is exactly what we expect. And then, second half, really, really good goal. well taken, and done well to assist the second as well. And for me, it comes to without him, we would have been stuffed that game, in my opinion. He's a
Yeah,
he was a positive outlet that game. Creating them chances. More positive signs when he is on the ball, looking like a threat. And second half, he got a goal and an assist. So he got in the team of the week this week as well. That shows how decent he was during the week on Saturday. So yeah, I think he done really, really well. I hope we see more of it going forward. But again, like you said, Chris, all these ratings are just opinion, right? That's the thing about opinions. They're not right. They're not wrong. It's just what we think, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. People have different views. That's completely fine. We're not saying that what we're saying is right, and no answer is going to go against them. But the one thing that I just can't understand in my head, and I just don't get, is getting on the back of players 2 games in the season.
yeah, yeah. I just
I, I don't get it, because you know Thorpe's come in. He's probably still understanding his players a little bit. There's going to be more incomings as well in the next couple of weeks. Let's be real. There's going to be more players that strengthen that team, and you know this is meant to be a really good period for us Norwich fans. And it's exactly what I didn't want to happen. It's got toxic too quick with certain players. Thorpe's come in. We can see the vision. We can see the football he wants to play. Let's just try and get behind the players and just enjoy it. Like, why is the main focus? Like, we drew 2-2 against Blackburn, and arguably it was a fair result. We should have come away with a win. But what was the main talking point about that whole game? It was like how shit Duffy was.
yeah,
Like,
no,
why is that the main output from that game? Yes, he probably didn't have the best game that he wanted to, but why aren't we talking about how good Sargent was up top? Like, about the youth players getting the minutes coming in. Signs having a really good game as well. Doyle. The main focus is always on the negatives for Norwich fans. It's
yeah,
just, it just needs to stop. Just get behind the lads and just enjoy a bit of football. We've still got 44 games left
yeah,
of the season. There's no point getting rattled and upset now, because we all know how the season's going to go. We all know what the expectation is. So I don't understand why it's so negative 2 games in.
yeah. No, I completely agree. You've got to buy into it at this point, and getting on players' backs like that is going to do absolutely nothing for everyone involved, the club, the player, the fans. Like, there shouldn't be a need to be this angry or toxic at this point in time. But you mentioned, obviously, with Sargent, where we'd be without him, if it wasn't for him on Saturday. As we speak, I believe Ivan Toney is potentially off to Saudi Arabia, and the inevitable Brentford links have started to appear. I know we discussed this at work. I know your thoughts on it, but what do you think with Sargent? Can you leave him this summer? Can you see him staying? What do you think will happen there?
I don't know what's going to happen with him. You know, I think the thing is with Sargent is he's tied into a bit of a long-term contract, isn't he? So from seeing how Napa works, especially with the whole row situation, if the right offer doesn't come in for Sargent, he's just not going to go. So from what I hear, he's pretty content at Norwich as well. So I don't think he'll be fussed either way. I think if a move happens, great. If it doesn't, he'll just crack on at Norwich. So obviously, you can't turn down, I guess, from his point of view, Premier League football. I guess that's where he wants to be playing. But he is important to us. As always, I'd be sad if he goes, but at the end of the day, like we spoke about before, with the Rowe saga going on at the moment, if he doesn't want to be here, let him go. If the right money comes in as well, again, I'd be happy with that. But unfortunately, players get replaced. That's just how
Yeah.
football works. Grant Holt at the time, God, that killed me when he bloody left. But it's replaceable. And think about the players we've had since then that are just Teemu Pukki, Cameron Jerome. In there at that time. We all find that player that comes in that we then go on and love, that ultimately then does get sold and moves on. But that's just a part of it, unfortunately. Will I be sad if he goes? Yes. But if it's for the right money, then I kind of get it. So I
Yeah.
I'm fully buying into Napa and Thorpe from what I've seen the last week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think they've really, really impressed me. Thorpe in his interviews has been outstanding in his press conference. I just think he's so open and honest. I think the fans really respect that. Like, there's no kind of bullshit with him. You know what it is. He'll just tell you there and then. And Napa, well, it's clear to see his stance on, letting players go and bringing players in. So, if we do get rid of Sargent, yeah, but I know I have full trust in Napa that he'll do the right thing and that him and Farrell will recruit the right players. So,
I think the Nipper case is interesting because I think there was a lot of people, a lot of fans, a little bit twitchy with Napa, with Sarah's going, and we haven't had many incomings. Cordoba was the only signing we had, and I think that one turning point has been the Ida deal, and they've
yeah,
gone, Jesus, like he's not going to shit when it comes to transfers. He's going to hold out for what he wants, and if people are going to pay it, brilliant. If they don't, that's fine. And I think that's nearly been a huge turning point for Norwich fans with that going, oh, actually, maybe we've now he's dictating what happens. He's not going to be dictated to. And I think when you can not just buy into a manager, but you can buy into the sporting director, that's a lovely place to be because you trust. We're very similar. Like, we've bought into it. If he thinks someone should go, they should go. Like,
yeah,
let them go. That doesn't bother me. If people don't want to be here and Napa wants to get rid, that's fine. If he thinks he can, Thorpe can turn them around and get them kind of singing off the same hymn sheet again, do it. That's fine. I'll buy into it. But I really think that either deal has been the one that gone, oh shit, like maybe actually we're like we've got someone at the helm that we and that excites me from the club top to the bottom. Obviously, um, not even mention the takeovers that have happened, and that kind of all being confirmed, which we kind of weirdly mentioned in the last pod without knowing it was going to happen. I think there's a real change at the club now, and you've got to buy into it. There's no point being toxic from the get go. You've just got to let what happens happen, and just buy into it and support a team. Not be a happy clapper. Like, you don't always have to be happy about a situation, but you definitely don't need to be turning toxic 2 games.
no, if it was happening 3, 4 years down the line, I'd get it. I completely understand your promise change and it hasn't happened. you got to think we've got a new manager that's come in, we've got a new sporting director, we're now going to get new owners in. For Norwich City, that's a big change. It's huge, and we just got to get on board with it and just kind of crack on. We won't see instant results. That's not how it works, unfortunately, and that's not how it works in the footballing world. And we just need to kind of get on with it, and hopefully, with years to come, next year, next season, I don't know. The vision will be implemented, but I definitely don't think we're anywhere near at the moment. There's still a lot of work to be done within the team and the club. But it's just laying up them foundations this season, I guess, to tee up for positive seasons to come. But yeah, I just think we need to try and get on board it, like you say, and just buy into the vision and the project.
Definitely. So with that being said, what are we thinking of Sheffield United again?
That being said, I think we'll probably lose. And again, it's just my opinion. I always want Norwich to win deep in my heart. We spoke before. I guess me and you, Chris, are more realists when it comes to football predictions. I think you look at how well Sheffield United have recruited this year. They're really a force to be reckoned with, aren't they? But saying that, they drew a QPR at the weekend, and QPR had 10 men for a majority of the second half of that game. So I think the beauty of football is you just never know, do you? That's the thing. You never know. Everyone thought the Carrow Road unbeaten record was going to be broken by the team that last beat us there. It wasn't. And I just feel like games like Sheffield United, where you just got a feeling we're not going to do well because they've recruited really well. They've got quality players. Just get behind them, create this atmosphere, and just get behind them and support them, because I just see it happen now. The one moment things don't start going our way, people get on the backs of the players. It just does nothing. Just get behind them. Just fill out. Just support the lads for majority of the game. And I'm sure football players thrive off moments like that as well. And it does get them going a little bit. And you see them waving their arms up for a corner and stuff, and try to get the crowd going a bit. But don't get too ratty if we lose to Sheffield United on Saturday. That's all I'm going to say, because they're a very good team.
I think it could not be a reality check, but obviously we've seen green shoots through the Blackburn game. But for me, Sheffield United are a different beast to Blackburn. They've signed very well this transfer window. They've got the makings to go straight back to the Premier League. So honest, I wouldn't be overly surprised if we get hammered. I don't want us to, but I could see it being 3-1 or 3-0 Sheffield. Not that I want it to be that, but I think we're also now a very youthful team, and with that comes in experience. They've got players like Kiefer Moore, Sousa, O'Hare, they've recruited really well. Kiefer Moore, I know people will call him a donkey and but he's a very good championship striker, and he knows how to use strengths. You put a young centre back up against him, there is potential there for that to cause a big issue. And I wouldn't be overly surprised if we do get a little.
Well, they almost have a Premier League team in the Championship, don't they? Let's be real.
Yeah.
They have a really, really strong team. And we may lose, but that is just due to the quality of their team, and us trying new things out and trying to get the youth in our setup. But I just think people need to realise sometimes it is okay just to lose to a better team.
Yeah,
Like I just think there's like this kind of narrative that Norwich City must go and win every single game.
yeah.
Like
I think
that's
there's an
not how
air
it
of
works.
near arrogance that
Yeah.
we should be winning, which I think is wrong. And I don't think a drop in would be the worst thing in the world for us, because again, it's just Thorpe learning how to play against different styles, what players work best in different systems. Like, that's fine. And I think what you've said perfectly sums it up. It is okay to just lose.
To a
Like,
better
don't
team.
get, yeah, don't get me wrong. If we lost and there was nothing positive about it, players looked like they did, like, that's the time to be like, yeah, all right, then we need to be better than this. I didn't that performance wasn't good enough, but I don't think there'll be many times this where we lose and it just doesn't look like we were good enough.
Well, can you
We've
remember
lost
when we went
to the
up
better
under
team.
Fark?
Yeah,
Can you remember when we went up under Fark? Leeds came to us early on the season. They beat us 3-0.
yeah, and everyone started going, oh, no way we're
That Leeds team are unbelievable. Like
yeah,
I'm just looking now, right? That year we drew at Birmingham 2-2. We then lost to West Brom 4-3. We then lost to Sheffield United 2-1. We then did beat Preston midweek 2-0. We then lost to Leeds 3-0 at home. Then drew with Ipswich 1-1. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the first 6 games. We got 1 win, right? And if you then look at that season, like in proportion, we lost 3-0 to Leeds, who that season didn't even go up
yeah,
that year. We lost to a good Sheffield United team who went up with us that year, and West Brom, who were in the playoff contentions, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, that Leeds game, for example, they just bossed us for like 90 minutes.
yeah,
But look what happened at the end of that. You know, we ended up going up that season and becoming champions of the championship. And it's okay to lose like 2 teams that are just better on us on the day. There's not an issue with that.
yeah. I think that's perfectly put. I think is, and I think there will be situations this season where that happens, and it's just
Yeah.
so important not to turn toxic and just be rational. And at the end of the day, people say, "Oh well, we haven't strengthened our squad enough. We haven't done this. We haven't done that." Our squad. If you truly believe that, you can't be getting angry if we lose to a better team. The only time is when you see that there's no drive or there's no passion to try and win the game. That's when you can be annoyed. But I just don't think we'll get that too much from a Thorpe team because of the way that he sets up. I think you will always nearly get 100, and it's whether we've just been good enough to beat that opposition. And as you said, in some instances, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think, you look at Sheffield United's midfield, right? They got Sousa, Harmer, O'Hare, our blaster as well. They got Harry Suter as well. That they got on was it a loan, I think, from Leicester,
Leicester,
or
yeah,
they might have brought him. I'm not sure, but they got such a good midfield. They're probably going to boss it in the middle of the park on Saturday. They're
yeah,
going to absolutely probably boss that game. But no, it's not because Kenny McLean's out of his depth. It's not because, he's getting on, he can't track back. It's just because their players are just bloody good.
yeah. Although that Kenny McLean comment was you saying that he looked a little bit out of depth. But...
He did look a little bit out of depth on the what was it? What game is that?
The Oxford one
The
or the Stevenage one?
the Stevenage one.
Yeah, I think McLean will just take a little bit of time. Time to adjust.
Yeah, as I
But
said, that he looked a little bit out of his depth, but again, like I just think like stuff like that. People took that on X as I was criticizing him. I wasn't criticizing him. I just said he looked a little bit out of his depth. Do I think it will take a little bit of time for him to get used to this system before it wants to play? Yes. Do I think that he could do it? Yes. He just needs that time to adapt. I'm not calling him shit by saying he looked a little bit out of his depth in a game.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
again, it's just so quick to be like, oh well, why are you so negative about it? I'm not. I just think that one game he looked a little bit out of his depth, but that's not necessarily negative. That's not me saying I don't think he'll ever change. He's gonna be shit this whole season. I
yeah,
just think he just didn't suit that style very well. And I just personally just on McLean, I just think he he can't play it quick enough out of his feet. I think he has to take a touch or two and stand on the ball a little bit like Hanley, but I'm sure it will just come with time.
yeah, yeah. Fingers crossed, as we
But
do love him.
my point is, let's just take McLean for example. That realistically he shouldn't be looking out of his depth against a team like Stevenage. But you come against a team like Sheffield United, they're just going to have players in there that are just going to be miles above.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And as I said, it's going to take some time to adapt to the style of play, and then I don't think we can really judge him until at least probably another 10 or so more games, in my opinion.
Definitely, I agree. Christmas time's a good little marker in it.
Yeah, yeah, I think around then we will really see how we're playing and how players have adapted. And I'm sure our starting 11 will look very different from the one that started at Blackburn to the one that starts kind of Boxing Day, for example.
100%, I agree.
So, with that, Luke, with our little summary of what's happened and what's coming up, I believe you have a game for us.
Yeah, so I thought what we'd do is a little bit of a Norwich City Tenable. So
Ooh,
if you're not familiar with Tenable, it's a question and you've got to try and get 10 answers with a question, which means you then are, well, tenable, I guess. So the tenable question for you today, Chris, is can you name me 10 Norwich City players where the surname begins with the letter G?
can rattle a couple, I think. So you got Angus Gunn.
Yep, he's tenable, correct.
Unsurprisingly, I'm going to go with his dad, Brian Gunn,
Yep, that's also correct. That's two.
Liam Gibbs.
Yeah, that is three, currently in the Norwich squad.
I'm just really going with people with the same names. So I'll go Kieran Gibbs.
Yep, Kieran Gibbs, number four, had a loan spell at Norwich.
Keeping on with Gibbs, we'll go Ben Gibson.
Five, left last year for Stoke City.
I'm just thinking back to our Legends elimination game. Jeremy Goss.
Jeremy Goss is six, that is tenable, correct.
And then we had Johnny Gavin, the Legend game.
Yeah, that is seven, that's correct.
I think on the oh, so someone that's been linked to Napoli because I'd be surprised. Um, was Billy Gilmore.
Yeah, that's correct. Loan spell at Norwich, that's eight.
That's a oh niche. Oh, I'd say it's Matty Gill.
Matthew Gill, correct. Yeah, that's
Um,
nine.
flashbacks to Lambert getting really angry. and Gill being there. That's the only reason why he came to mind.
Yeah.
Hit his Norwich career.
So you missed about 4 or 5 obvious ones.
Oh, 4 or 5 of. And how many do I need?
1.
1. Oh. Oh, speaking of Italian links way, going from the Billy Gilmore one, someone has signed for an Italian club. Ben Godfrey.
Yeah, that is correct. That's tenable. That's 10.
Come on.
Well done. Do you want some ones that you missed?
Yeah, you know what, Luke? Treat me.
You've got Dimitris Yanoulis.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You got not Matthew Gill, but can you remember Matt Gilks, sorry,
Jesus,
the
yeah.
goalkeeper? Yeah. You've also got Lewis Graben.
Oh,
Miss Lewis
yeah.
Graben
Still
out.
got that one.
Don't believe you said Robert Green.
No, and I mentioned him in a podcast.
Yeah, Robert Green, you missed out. You've also got Jonas Gutierrez as well, remember?
Cool. That is a throwback. There's some weird sign. Carlos Cuellar as well, like Yobo.
Yeah,
We went
exactly.
we went for a really odd phase, didn't
Yeah, we did.
we? Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was
Maybe
good.
I'll do a tenner ball for you next week.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, that's tenable. Hopefully, we'll do some more going forward. Obviously, if you keep in touch with our X page as well, we're doing daily guess the Norwich City footballer by their career path. So it's like a Wikipedia kind of snippet. You got to guess what the Norwich City player is. So follow us on X, TikTok and Instagram, and it's a bit of fun. So yeah, always participate in them if you want a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they seem to have down really well. I mean, they've got start off easy, ease people into them. They'll gradually get harder.
So yeah, that's the end of the tenable game, Christoph. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll look to be doing more of these in the future as well. Just a bit of fun. And let us know who you got down below, or any of the players that we haven't mentioned that you said in the tenable as well. And we've got other kind of fun kind of quizzes going on at the moment, especially on our X, TikTok, and Instagram. It's like a Norwich City guess a player by their career path. So that seems to be going down well, and you guys enjoy it. So we'll carry on doing that. But as always, give us a follow on X. Give us a rating on Spotify. It really, really does help. And also look to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. As always, your support is greatly appreciated. Me and Chris absolutely love this at the moment. We love making content for you guys, and your support has been absolutely outstanding. So, really, really appreciate that. But Chris, is there anything left from you before we go, my man?
Nothing from me, mate. It's just been a great time chatting with
Yeah, as always, great time chatting with you, Chris. I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday against Sheffield United. Let us know as well if you'd like to see some match day vlogs as well. Um, Me especially, I go to a lot of the Norwich away games, and if you'd like some fan reactions, match day vlogs, snippets, from the game, or potentially some match highlights, depending on how much we could put in, let us know. And I'm sure it's something we could look to do. But as always, thank you all for listening. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, evening, whatever you were doing. Enjoy it.